for another American Horror Story cult recap and review. So this one's for episode 4, titled 11-9. Let's just get into it. The episode begins by going back to election night 2016, which at first had me a little concerned because I didn't really like the beginning of episode 1 of Cult, but this time around, it isn't nearly as heavy-handed, and the sequence actually offers up a pretty thoughtful montage of most of our main characters together, all in line to vote at the same polling station, and it offers some added insight into some very different mindsets that evening. Everyone cast their vote. Ivy Winter Beverly and her cameraman, a confident vote for Hillary. Then we've got Beverly's newscaster rival, Serena, played by Emma Roberts. She votes for Trump. Dr. Vincent's hand obscures his vote, but it looks like Hillary to me. And then we've got Harrison voting for Gary Johnson, Meadow writing in Oprah, and then Allie's controversial vote for Jill Stein. Where's Kai, are you wondering? Oh, he's coming in, and he is coming in dragging a bloody Chaz Bono as Gary Longstreet, who we first saw working at the grocery store in episode 1. They both vote Trump, and then Gary reveals to the whole room why he's got blood dripping from his sleeve. He's missing a hand, and he shows it off to people while shouting, "Welcome to Trump's America." So one day after the election, Harrison meets Kai for the very first time where he works at the time, and it's at a place called Funtime Fitness. Kai tells Harrison that he looks strong and like he can move a dead body if he has to, so that's why he picked him for a personal trainer. During their workout, we get to learn a little more about who Kai is. He tells Harrison he was a freak when he was a kid. Interesting choice of words, given season 4 of AHS. And he also tells him he works in computer coding and is an app developer. Oh yeah, and Kai is also a tested genius, so there's that too. Before wrapping up their session, Kai gives Harrison a speech about taking care of people who are part of his crew, and then, right on cue, another trainer gives Harrison a hard time about doing some very nasty janitorial work, and right then and there, we know that guy is in big trouble. Back at home, Meadow and Harrison have a pretty heated argument because she's only first telling him that the bank is foreclosing on them and they have 3 days to get out of their house. Back at the gym, though, Kai very quickly figures out that something is wrong with Harrison, and as promised, Kai helps. He gives him a pep talk and spins the situation by telling Harrison that being nowhere is actually a good thing. It means he's free to be anything, take any path, and do whatever he wants. There's obviously a very sinister quality to Kai, no doubt, but there's also some truth to a lot of his lessons. But anything mildly inspirational here winds up completely clouded by the deep-seated evil in Kai, because then he basically encourages Harrison to attack and kill that other trainer, and Harrison does it. After that, while Harrison is freaking out about what he just did, Kai covers their tracks, he erases the security camera footage, and he also reveals that he didn't just spot Harrison and decide he wants him as a trainer. Kai's been watching Harrison and the people around him too. Kai tells Harrison that now he's part of something big, and they're gonna wipe out everything Harrison knows and build something bigger and better than he could have ever imagined. After that, they get rid of the body, of course. A little later, we are back with Beverly and her cameraman, RJ. It's December, and Beverly is not happy. Serena's career is soaring while she is getting the less ideal assignments. Turns out Beverly is covering a body discovery, a body that's described as muscular. Wonder who that could be. Cut to Kai then examining this very news footage, and particularly Beverly's response to Dermot Mulroney as news anchor Bob Thompson, telling Beverly he's glad she's back in the field. So where has she been? A little research tells Kai that she had a bit of a meltdown after she was harassed while on live TV, harassments that were sparked by a certain something Trump said. After that, she went in for 30 days of psychiatric rehabilitation, and naturally, Serena covered that story too. The next scene reveals that Serena's success probably has a little something to do with her getting with Bob, and for that reason, Beverly's never gonna win, even if she's fighting for hard news coverage over Serena's fluff pieces. Kai approaches a very, very angry Beverly while she's busy slashing what I assume are Bob or maybe Serena's tires. They get some coffee together in a restaurant that looks a lot like Allie and Ivy's place, and at the end of the scene, we find out that it is. But right from the start there, Kai does what he does best. He tells Beverly what she wants to hear while easing into some more extreme suggestions. He explains to her the power of fear, saying that great men and women have been weaponizing fear for forever. But what all those men had was a great messenger, and that's exactly what he wants Beverly to do for him. Next up after that, Emma Roberts does what she does best, really. She plays a snob, and I mean that sincerely. She has a ton of fun to watch playing characters like this, and on Scream Queens too, if you've seen that. But the love to hate her thing doesn't last very long, because while shooting a news bit, Serena and her cameraman are brutally stabbed to death by the folks in the clown masks, but at least the puppy is safe. Beverly finds out what happens to Serena and immediately pins it on Kai. He tells her it's proof that he'll do anything for her, and with a really nice assist from the episode score here, Beverly accepts it. She now believes in Kai, and she also believes in his promise for equal power, and that's a concept that I'm going to keep in mind because it feels like it might become an issue at some point. But for now, Beverly is back on camera and she reports that they found that trainer's head, and then we see Kyle watching it and smiling, so it looks like everything's going to plan for him. So in a little bit of a strange time jump, then we cut back to the day before the election with Allie and Ivy having a little disagreement about going to a rally, and it shows that Allie might not vote the way that Ivy hopes she will, with Allie using the excuse, Trump winning will never happen. After that, we get another scene that brings some familiar faces together. At that rally, Ivy argues with Gary, and the moment culminates with him assaulting her, something that Winter sees happen, and she winds up chasing after Gary. I thought that was going to be the end of it right there, mainly because I've been under the impression that Ivy didn't know Winter when she first hired her as Oz's babysitter, but then Winter goes back to check on Ivy, and that's not all. Then they grab food together at the restaurant. They talk about life goals, and Winter tells Ivy she wants to be right beside a powerful person pushing them to greatness. This is an episode about Kai building his network, so now I'm really wondering more so than ever how Winter wound up in that position supporting him. Next up, we see a super warm and smiley Gary closing up the grocery store for the day, only to find a very angry looking Winter shopping for tape. So if you were wondering what happened to Gary's hand at the beginning of the episode, this moment paves the way to your big moment. But the bigger surprise here is Winter's accomplice, and it's Ivy. They tie him up in a basement where Ivy tells Gary that people like him don't deserve a say in this election. I understand what Gary did to her was wildly inappropriate and terrible, but it was pretty surprising to hear Ivy say something like that. So back at home, Winter tells Kai she's hurt someone, and it felt fantastic. He tells her to tell him everything, and I assume that she does, because then we cut back to Gary. Kai comes downstairs into the basement and talks him into cutting off his handcuffed hand so he can go vote, bringing the episode full circle in a really impressive and disturbing way. The show is really building characters extremely well right now, better than I ever thought it could. And it's also great seeing it turn into a thoughtful commentary on voters rather than just giving us heavy-handed extremes that are clearly one side or the other. Yes, a lot of the behavior is extreme in true American Horror Story fashion, but I think the show is actually doing a nice job of holding on to the horror genre nature of the series while weaving in real politics and real human behavior. You think you know someone at the beginning of the show. For example, I thought Ivy was a stand-up person all around, but then you see them do something terrible, seemingly out of character, and the writers are doing a great job justifying that behavior and making you believe they'd make those decisions. There's a lot going on right now, a lot that I'm dying to know more about, like why Ivy hired Winter. Is Ivy Team Kai too? And really, Evan Peters is just crushing it this season, turning Kai into a true master of manipulation, selling warmth and kindness, while also taking sensible approaches to life and then wrapping them into these really dark and disturbing attempts to change the world. It's a fascinating thought process that I really can't get enough of, especially as he sways more and more characters. Clearly, I'm very happy with the show right now. I cannot wait to see what happens next, and I want to know if you feel the same way. Are you digging American Horror Story Cult so far? Any predictions for next week's episode? Sound off in the comments below, and I'm going to see you real soon for another recap and review of American Horror Story, Episode 5, titled Holes. See you later, guys.